Good morning, I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath. We are continuing to track Hurricane Ian as it makes its final landfall throughout this afternoon. Still a hurricane with sustained winds at 85 miles per hour, moving to the north at 14 miles per hour. Now, there has been an update with the track. We're going to show you that in just a minute. Good news for Charleston, farther off to the north, but still going to be a significant storm for so much of both North and South Carolina and even parts of Georgia. You can see the outer convective bands really pouring through parts of Myrtle Beach, down into Charleston, back into Florence and Columbia, South Carolina. Not making it into Georgia quite yet, but really right on the edge of the outer convective bands. The center of the storm, you can see right there. Not the most impressive hurricane. Doesn't look like it did when it made landfall in Florida, thank goodness, but it is still a very powerful storm. The rain reaching all the way up into North Carolina, parts of Virginia. We're going to see the rain here in the next several hours. But let's show you the latest National Hurricane Center track and where the storm is moving now. Again, you can see really right on the edge of the rain, already raining in parts of southern Virginia. But right now, again, Category 1 hurricane. That's what we're expecting Ian to make landfall as. Right now, winds 85 miles per hour, making landfall later this afternoon. And you can see really right as soon as it makes landfall, it should weaken pretty substantially into the remnants of Ian, a post-tropical depression, by later tonight, tracking right through the middle of North Carolina and eventually into southwestern Virginia by tomorrow evening. And we've been talking about it for days now. As the remnants of Ian continue to push off to the north and west, that just means rain and wind and maybe some coastal flooding for us. But right now, the hurricane warnings continue along the South Carolina coast, even down into parts of the Georgia coast with tropical storm warnings elsewhere. The National Hurricane Center did put a hurricane watch in effect for far southern North Carolina as well, because North Carolina, of course, with this track to the north, will see a little greater impact than previously forecasted for the area. Storm surge still a big concern as Ian pushes on shore, expecting storm surge of 4 to 7 feet from Charleston points north. And of course, the farther away you get from the center of the storm, the less storm surge you can expect, but still really impactful with the storm surge expected right around 3 to 5 feet through most of the North Carolina coast. And keep in mind, they have so many inlets and small islands that really is a substantial amount of water to just push on shore, even down into Georgia and still parts of northeast Florida, expecting some minor storm surge as we head throughout the day today. So let's talk a little bit more about what this means for our area as we head through the end of the week and into the weekend, because the rain will start here over the next several hours. Right now, just very overcast, very cloudy as you're stepping outside. But fast forward to about 5 o'clock, I do think a lot of folks should get home without getting the rain earlier this afternoon, especially if you're commuting around 3-4 o'clock. But here we are, 5 p.m. The showers starting to push off to the north and west, moving through southern Maryland, parts of central Virginia, working their way into northern Virginia as we head through the later evening hours. As the rain starts, it's just going to be more of a nuisance rain, pretty light showers. So hopefully all of the Friday night football games can get the game in before this arrives. This is 11 o'clock tonight. We are expecting the heaviest of the rain really late this evening and into the early Saturday morning hours. So as you're checking back in with Topper at 11 o'clock, he's going to be tracking some really locally heavy rain, very gusty wind as well. And temperature is going to stay so cool over the next several days. So not a washout of a weekend, but not a really nice weekend for outdoor plans either. This is right around 4 a.m. You can see the heaviest rain pushing off to our north and east. And then throughout the rest of the day tomorrow, again, not a washout. We've been saying this for days now that it's going to be overcast, off and on showers. And keep in mind, Futurecast is just one particular model. It does not pinpoint where it's going to rain and when. So really hard to decipher exactly when the rain will fall where you live over the weekend. But just the idea that we'll see off and on showers, generally light in nature, maybe some moderate downpours from time to time with otherwise cloudy skies and really gusty conditions. That wind coming in from the northeast is going to keep our temperatures on the cooler side, only in the low 60s as we look ahead towards high temperatures this weekend. And then we do it all again on Sunday. This is 7 a.m. starting the day with some scattered showers, maybe some moderate downpours possible as well. And then throughout the day, not going to be exceptionally wet. There will be plenty of dry hours, but showers continue all the way through the afternoon into the evening. This is 8 o'clock. And then Monday, thankfully, is trending a little bit drier. I do think we'll have some rain to start the day, but most of the afternoon looks fairly dry. And then Tuesday, a similar story, only a low chance for a few spotty showers earlier in the day, but much drier than what we can expect for Saturday and Sunday. When all is said and done, we're still talking about a good drink of water. This is the European model, still forecasting 1 to 2 inches of rain depending upon where you live. You can see right around 1.8 inches in the DC area, just over 2 for Manassas, near 2 for Winchester, which seems like a lot of rain. And keep in mind, most of it will fall overnight, so we will have a period of some heavier rain, but then we'll just continue to gradually tack on some additional accumulation both Saturday into Sunday and Monday. So overall, the risk for flooding is really low from rain. We do have a coastal flood risk, though, we're going to talk more about in just a minute, but also want to show you the American model because thankfully our computer model is coming into a little bit better agreement. Yesterday, the European model was more in favor of more rain. Now the American model saying maybe 2.5 inches of rain. I'm tending to lean more towards the European model. It depends how much we see fall overnight, but I don't think we see a ton of additional accumulation throughout the day, Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday morning, but still not looking at enough rain to cause any big flooding issues. And in fact, we could use the rain. It's been really dry so far this month, so this will end up being a pretty beneficial rain for our area. But if you have a basement that tends to flood with a heavier downpour, just be aware before you go to bed tonight that we are going to see that period of heavier rain late tonight and into the early morning hours of Saturday. Let's talk a little bit more about that coastal flood threat, and it's really because the tides are going to be higher, so the biggest threat is going to be at high tide, and we have a really strong onshore flow, so the wind really just pushing that water a little bit higher than it may typically go. So you can see everywhere you see highlighted there in that lime green, that's a coastal flood advisory. We do have a coastal flood warning in effect for far southern Maryland. That's because the tide does look a little bit higher in that area. So again, around high tide, which this is flooding that we can typically see from time to time, just a little bit of a greater risk of seeing some minor flooding. We do have a wind advisory in effect as well for southern Maryland, the Shenandoah Valley, and the Blue Ridge for gusts that could get up to 50 miles per hour. Again, it's going to be a breezy, raw, and damp weekend, and the National Hurricane Center kind of pinpointing those areas as seeing particularly high wind gusts possible. So a lot of folks already have their holiday decorations out for the month of October. So if you have anything out that could easily be blown over, just make sure it's secure or just bring it inside for the weekend. Even areas outside of the advisory will see some pretty significant wind gusts as we head throughout the weekend. So again, Ian right now still a hurricane with sustained winds at 85 miles per hour, pushing closer to South Carolina as we head throughout the afternoon. Of course, we'll see you for WUSA 9 News at noon, and we'll have another advisory at 2 o'clock as we start to see that landfall become a little bit more imminent. But in the meantime, have a great day.